Hey, what we want to do today is we want to do a simple AI assisted automation that allows you to enter data for an impediment into an HTML web page, pass it to make.com, and then have make.com format that data and then send it via email to whoever you specify. We are now in the make.com scenario environment. I've already created a scenario called HTML impediment. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create what we call the webhook. The webhook is what actually takes and receives the data that we're going to pass to the automation. So we're going to select to create a module. We'll create a webhook module, and we're going to call it the custom webhook. And we're going to add, and we're going to give it a name. What name do we want to give it? We're going to give it intake. And fortunately, because my face is in the way, we have to save this way. Now, important part of this webhook is this URL that you see here. This URL is what we're going to be looking for in order to send the data to the webhook. So we're going to copy this URL and we're going to take it down and we're going to place it into a place where we can keep it safe. I'm going to put it right here on the text file. So that's the URL that we're going to use throughout in order to send data to our hook. So we're going to save this and then we're going to save the scenario. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to initialize the webhook so that it understands the type of data that we're going to want to send it. And we're going to do that through a command prompt. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our URL, copy that, and then we're going to look at a command prompt, which I've already created, that will allow us to send it data. So right here is where we want to paste our URL, and we're going to take this command prompt, copy the entire thing. We're going to go back to our make environment and we're going to say run once. Run once, what run once does is it wakes up the web hook and tells it to start listening for data. So we're going to say run once, and see it's waiting for data. We're going to go to our command prompt. We're going to copy and paste our command prompt. I'm going to execute. And as you can see, it was accepted. We're going to go back. And what we see is that our webhook performed an operation. And what it did is it took the data that we passed it from our command prompt and shows us that it ingested this particular data. So we can, from this, we can say, okay, we've now initialized the webhook. We know it'll accept data. Now we can move to the next step. So now that we, now that we've initialized the webhook, we now want to take the data that we're going to send it and format that data in a certain way so that it can then be emailed. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another module, and we're going to call it a tools module, and we're going to search for what we call the text aggregator. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It takes text inputs and formats them in a certain way. So now in order to take the text format that we're going to get from the webhook, we want to format in a certain way. We're going to use a certain syntax. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a file that I prepared called email text, and we're going to take the syntax from here. Let's copy. We're going to go back to our module, and as text we're going to put this as our format for text. Now, because we've initialized our webhook, it recognizes that these fields will be available for us to aggregate in our tools module. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace what I have here that came from my file with the ones that we will take directly from the webhook. And I will start with the title. So I'm going to get rid of the title. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select the title from this drop down, and it tells me yes, the title that I now want to put into my text is coming from what's going to be given me by the webhook. So I'm going to pause it and I'm going to fill in all these blanks and come back after I've filled it all in. Okay, I've now entered in all of the fields that are being pulled from the webhook into my text field, so that this is the text that we will pass to whatever the next module is. So let's save this. And the tools module is indicating that there is a bit of a warning here, and it's just telling us that as a tools module, you just can't be the last module in the workflow. And we say, okay, that's cool for now. We're not gonna have this be the last one. So we're gonna go to another module after this. All right. So the next module we're gonna create is the one that actually sends the email. So we're gonna look at the email module, and then we're gonna select the action to be send an email. So now it automatically connects using what I've got set up in Microsoft for email. From an argument standpoint, we want to select who the recipient is going to be. And I'm going to enter in my email address. Then I need to understand what exactly my subject is going to be. I'm going to say impediment, and I'm going to make my content plain text content, and this is for the body of the email. And then from a content standpoint, what I want is to pull the data that we've aggregated here in our tools. So what it's going to do is going to let me know that you have the text field available to you to add to your content. So I'm going to select that as the content that I want in my email. So at this point, I'm going to save. And then I'm going to save my scenario. All right. Now that we've got our webhook, our text aggregator, and our email send modules set up, we want to set up another way of feeding this workflow besides the command line. So we're going to use an HTML web page. So let's go back and look at the webhook and make sure we get our URL, because we're going to take that and copy it, and we're going to copy it into where we had it before. It's probably the same one. So let's, okay, very good. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take this URL and we want to copy it into our HTML page. We just so happen to have an HTML set up, and we've got a placeholder here for the HTML page to copy our webhook URL. So we're going to copy that in there, and then we're going to save the file. So now we have the HTML page that we're going to use. The next thing we want to do is we want to go open that page so that we see exactly what's going on there. Very well formatted. So now we want to put some data that makes sense. So we've got a table here that has impediments in it already. So we're going to copy a title. We're going to go and copy description. We're going to call it critical, and we're going to put my name as the person that submitted it. The next thing we want to do is, because our workflow is still in sort of the construction phase, we want to go back and we wanted to get it to start listening. So we hit run once, so it's listening now. And then we're going to want to send our impediment. So just so happens we have error handling, so it lets us know that everything was sent. Then we go back and we see that everything looks green. We didn't get any errors. It looks like it ran because it's no longer waiting. And the next thing we want to do is we want to go see if the email was sent. So let's go to the email. And howdy hey. The email, build pipeline failure, critical, DG, the timestamp, and the description that we had it. So what we've done, just to sort of wrap up, is we created an AI-assisted automation that allows us to enter in an impediment and have that impediment, based on our automation, automatically sent to who we want it sent to. Now, there are a lot of other things that you can do with this, but we're going to leave it at that because I think this was the requirement that was given to me. Thanks a lot.